welcome to Runway Roadtrip. I'm Ken Taylor. I'm here with the man who has spent the last 19 and a half years building his own airplane. We are currently at Oshkosh, Wisconsin. There's an active air show going on as we speak, so we don't know how this is going to work out with the background, but we're going to give it a try because it's important to speak to you. If you would, sir, tell me your name and where you're from.
Yep, my name is Dan Loegering. I'm from West Fargo, North Dakota.
Oh, wow. West Fargo, North Dakota.
Yep.
And you have a very, very interesting story. How did you actually get involved in the airplanes from the very beginning?
So from the very beginning, that was my entertainment. When I was a very young boy, my folks didn't have a whole lot to keep us entertained. So we would go out to the airport and watch airplanes. And that just progressed into a love of airplanes throughout my life. In grade school, I built a lot of free flight rubber band powered airplanes, balsa and tissue paper, and that morphed into some radio control stuff as I got a little older into high school. And towards the end of high school is when I got my pilot's license. I saved up my paper route money, and that was my goal. I wanted to be able to fly airplanes.
Oh, wow.
So I got my license when I was 17 years old and a junior in high school, and just kind of continued from there.
Okay. I see your family here today, and
Yes.
I spoke with your father yesterday, and he is, I can't tell you how proud I'm sure you already know.
Yeah.
But he told me about how he had movies of you as a child. Tell me about those movies.
Yep, so we've still got the little Super 8, film movies. It's not video cameras at that point. From the early 70s that show me crawling around and sitting in the wagon, and my sister's just dead to the world sleeping. But I'm real excited. An airplane will fly over, and just like a little kid or a dog, squirrel, and it's an airplane.
Okay, so let me guess, she's still disinterested and you're still interested. Okay, great. So now tell me more about this airplane that you built.
Yep, so this is a model of a 1929, built to the 1929 plans. So I finished it last year in 2024. The first flight was in June. Right now I've got about 61 hours on it, but it is built from the original plans to the 1929 design. I changed a couple of things. The original plan was for a Model A Ford engine, modified that you'd use as the airplane engine. I wanted to use an airplane engine.
Okay.
A couple other minor changes, but this is as close to the plans built as I could keep it.
That's incredible. And so did you, of those 61 hours, does that include flying it here, or did you fly?
That includes flying it here, yes.
Oh.
So I went to Broadhead, Wisconsin first, which is a little bit south. So I flew by Oshkosh and then flew up here. So it took 10 hours to get here. Going home, it should take 6.5 to 7 hours.
Wow. That is incredible. So tell me more about it. You built this yourself. You started it in your garage at home, or you live at the airport? Or?
Yep, started in my basement. I had a little shop down there. And as you start an airplane, especially a plans-built airplane, you are building the kit first. You're building all the parts. So you just start with sticks and you cut them to length and kind of lay it out according to what the plan shows you how to do. And so take, for example, one of the wing ribs. I built a jig for the ribs, and then there's 32 pieces in each rib. So I cut all of those 32 pieces for all of the wing ribs. Put them in little cups, so I had everything all lined up, and then once a day I would take and load the jig, glue everything down. The next day I would come, pull that rib out, flip it over, glue the gussets on that side, and reload the jig. So it took a month of work just to build the wing ribs, and that doesn't take a lot of space. So then I stacked those up. I built another jig for the tail surfaces, and just slowly over time I built all of the parts for the airplane. Later on, you assemble all of those parts into the finished airplane, and that's where now you need more space. You're either going into a garage, or in my case, I had a hangar. I was able to move it out to the hangar. The key to engine turning is you need the same pressure, you need the same number of turns. I'd use that jig, and by how much I would pinch my finger, I knew, okay, the pressure is the same. And then I would just count the turns. It's a very slow process, but I'd count to 10 and then I'd move it an inch. Do it again and just keep rinsing and repeating until the pattern's done.
And during that time, did you find it to be like draining, or was it?
Absolutely. So I did the top of the cowl first, which was the most complex part, because it starts out, there's 34 rows in the back, and that tapers down to only 9 rows in the front.
Oh, wow.
So it was tapering, and I was dropping rows as I was coming forward. After I got that done, I was like, you know, maybe it looks good enough with just the top done. But I did persist, and I finished the sides on it also. Just putting the swirls on it took a little over 40 hours of work.
Here and in Canada, that's how
That seems to be very, very satisfying that it turned out so well.
Yes. A lot of comments on its fabric. You know, it's like, it's fabric covered, really? The other one is it's all wood. So that's very uncommon now in the home built world to have a completely wooden airplane. So, you know, those are two kind of the wow factors. Like, really? It's wood and it's fabric? When I was building it, and you know, I've got a lot of aviation-oriented friends that kind of knew what I was building, and they're like, "That's cool."
Right.
But a lot of family and other people that really aren't into aviation, they would look at me like I'd lost my mind. You know, you're building a wooden airplane, you're gonna fly this thing? You're gonna sit in it? So that was a lot of fun. The day it flew, it's like, yep, yes, I did.
Wow. And so your first flight in it, was it like you took it up to 10,000 feet, or?
No, it was a very controlled environment. I didn't have very many people there, and the people that were there, they had specific tasks.
Okay.
So I had one guy on the radio, I had one other person that was writing down my notes as I was talking back and forth to them. I had one guy whose only job was, had I crashed, call 911.
Okay.
So that was his job. And I had other people there that had specific tasks. You don't want to make a big crowd there because then, as a pilot, you get pressured. I have to fly.
Yeah.
And you don't want to have to fly a first flight.
Okay.
You want to say everything is done and all of the safety measures are in place. So if something does happen, I'm going to walk away from this. Or if I find something, or if somebody sees something, we can say, stop, we're not going to do this. I did use the EAA has a very nice kind of a scheduled flight test system that they use, and they use called flight cards. So card number 1 is start the engine, do it, taxi test, shut the engine down. You don't even get in the air. You're checking everything as you're going. So flight test card number 2 is actually the first flight test. And that is really get it in the air, check the controls, make sure it's controllable. If it's not, you set it right back down. If it is controllable, get it up and get it high enough. And all I did was I circled the airport for about 45 minutes.
Okay.
Really just getting a feel of the airplane, making sure the engine is running properly, my gauges are all running and working properly, and then come back in for a landing. There's no pressure on the first one other than you're flying an untested airplane.
Yes.
And then it just progresses from there. After a couple of small changes after the first flight, it didn't fly hands off. Very few of them do. So I made a couple of small incidence changes to the tail and added a trim system to it. Then you start doing the testing, the slow flight, the stalls, steep turns, how is the fuel burn on it, you know, endurance type stuff. Altitude. So you're testing everything. So when you're done with that test card series, you really know the airplane. You've gone to every envelope with just me and very little fuel to full of fuel and 200 pounds in the front. And so max forward CG, max aft CG, and you know everything about how the airplane. It's a really good system to do.
I really, really appreciate you sharing that process with me, because, you know, it's great to hear that after 19 years and a half of building the airplane, it was a very methodical and very safety conscious approach to getting your airplane in the air.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's always a little bit of fear. If a pilot comes up and says, "Oh, I'm not afraid," don't fly with them. You know, there's always, and even now, as I'm flying home, one of my tasks is, okay, if the engine stops now, where am I going to land?
Yes.
So I'm always picking out fields, and as I move forward and continue on the path, as I'm going home, I'm always checking for that next field, the next airfield down the road, so to speak.
What altitude did you come over at?
Pretty low. I stay right around 1,500 feet above the ground. 15 to 2,000 is all. So I do have a little bit of glide capacity with it. It gets cold the higher you go. So I just, if it was a day like today, I might pop up to the base of the clouds, stay 500 feet below that, and just to get cooler. If you can get above the clouds, then it's smooth. Day like today, I wouldn't even try it. I'm going to ride the bumps out down low. If the clouds are farther apart, yes, then I might try to get up there. I've had it up to about 5,000 feet is all, and just to kind of test the handling characteristics that high. Yeah, engine was still running good, plane flew fine. I was getting cold, so I came back down.
A little more on the performance of the aircraft. What is the stall speed of this aircraft?
So stall speed is right around 32 miles an hour. It's got a very benign stall. So if you're just easing back into it, cutting the power, slowly rolling in, it really doesn't have a brake. It just starts mushing, and you set up a pretty good rate of descent, but it's still fully controllable. When I built my wings, I put a little bit of washout in it, so that the trailing edge is up. So when it stalls, the center section stalls first, and then that stall progresses outboard. The ailerons are on the tips, so they stay very controllable throughout the slow speed. It's a lot of fun to fly around at about 38 to 40 miles an hour, just kind of hanging and putzing.
Almost like.
Yep. Top speed isn't very fast. I cruise at about 75 miles an hour. The plane starts talking to you at about 80, and it's telling you it doesn't like being there. There's a lot of cables, a lot of wires. It gets a lot more touchy, and so 75 is a good, comfortable speed.
Does it have any type of stall warning indication, any stall light, stall horn?
No, there's no electrical in it. There's very limited instruments. It's just the bare minimum for VFR. The stall warning is essentially the feel of the airplane. You're at a very nose-high attitude, and you'll start feeling some buffet. But it really doesn't give you, there's no audible warning or anything like that.
And as far as stall, I'm getting old.
That's all right. Landing distance on it, I've got my home field is asphalt. So I'm used to landing it on asphalt. A lot of guys say don't land this gear on pavement because it is very twitchy. There's a taxiway that is 700 feet down from the end of our runway, and I am very consistently making that turn off. Occasionally I go beyond it and hook back in. Book numbers, I could probably get it down in around 450 feet. Takeoff, you're looking at maybe 350 to 400 feet on the takeoff roll.
So in the development of and determining your performance features, do you actually develop a pilot operating handbook or POH?
Yes. So at the end of all of the test cards, you go back and look at all the data on those, and in the back of the booklet that you buy, they have here is now your pilot operating handbook, and you're filling in all your V speeds, VX, VY, you're filling in your stall speeds, your cruise speeds, your fuel burn, emergency procedures, what to do, your starting procedures. This one's fairly simple, but it is a hand start. So there are very solid steps that you need to take to keep that safe, especially if you're by yourself.
Yes, So no electrical system, that means you're going to have to hand prop it each time.
Correct.
And so if you're by yourself, talk to me about that actual procedure.
Yep, so there's two. The one that I'm using most now is fuel will be on, throttle would be at full idle, you don't come off of idle at all. The wheels are, and the elevator is pinned up. So if it does start, the elevator is going to be pushing into the ground, the chocks are not going to let it move, and the engine at idle, it's not developing enough power to do anything. The challenge there is if it floods, you have to do a specific procedure. You don't want to, a lot of times if a plane floods, you just crack the throttle a little bit and start it. Well, if you're up here and the throttle is back there, that makes things difficult. So the throttle never comes off idle. If it does flood, you turn everything off, you go to full throttle on it, and you turn the propeller backwards. And that flushes all of the fuel out of the cylinders. Then you go back to the same starting procedure, everything at idle, everything's chalked, and give her a flip.
Awesome. Now, I would like to exchange contact information with you. I'm sure you have some pictures of the build in process.
I do have a lot of pictures of the build.
I would love to get some of those to include in our video. And kind of show the process as you went through it. I mean, it's a very, very interesting concept of building your own aircraft. Again, it makes you wonder, what's but it's the driving force, and it seems like you're very much interested in both parts of it, flying as well as, and like I said, I can't tell you how excited it makes me. I've not considered building one myself, but
Right.
it makes me excited to know that there's not home builders out there that are just building their aircraft, get so excited that they're just gonna take off and,
Right.
and fly it. So that's great. And I really appreciate your time.
You bet.